Work is sacred, not just survival. This truth goes back to the very beginning of the human story. In the book of Genesis, we read that God created the heavens and the earth, the land and the sea, the plants and animals, and finally humanity. And after each act of creation, He looked upon it and saw that it was good. God worked, and He delighted in the work of His hands. When He created man and woman, He placed them in the garden not to lounge in idleness, but to till it and keep it. This was not a punishment. It was a purpose. Work was part of the blessing of creation. Humanity was invited to participate in the ongoing creation and stewardship of the world. Yet for many today, work has become something else entirely. It is often experienced not as a gift, but as a burden, a means to survive, not a way to thrive. For some, it is endless hours spent doing tasks that feel meaningless, with little rest or recognition. For others, it is a daily grind that leaves them exhausted, undervalued, and invisible. The dignity of work has been buried under stress, pressure, and economic systems that measure people by output rather than soul. But the truth remains, work is not simply about making a living, it is about making a life. When we work, we shape the world around us. We contribute to the common good, we build families, communities, and futures. Whether one is a farmer planting seeds, a teacher opening minds, a nurse offering care, a cleaner restoring order, or a parent raising children, these actions, however ordinary they may seem, are powerful. They speak of love, of responsibility, of a desire to serve something beyond the self. They are a reflection of the divine image placed in every person. Unfortunately, society has lost sight of this sacred dimension. We glorify busyness, idolize success, and dismiss the quiet, faithful labor that sustains our lives. We begin to see ourselves only as workers or producers, and we forget we are persons first. This distortion leads many to feel lost. They may work long hours, hold prestigious titles, or earn large salaries, yet still feel empty. The problem is not that work exists, the problem is that we have forgotten why we work and for whom. When work is rooted in love, it becomes an offering. Even the smallest task can be a prayer when done with sincerity and care. A janitor who sweeps the floor with pride. A driver who ensures others reach their destination safely. A grandparent cooking for a family with joy. All of this is work imbued with dignity. This is not survival, it is service. It is communion with others. It is communion with God. We must reclaim this vision not by quitting our jobs or escaping responsibility, but by seeing work with new eyes. Even when our tasks seem routine or overlooked, they are still meaningful. What matters is not the scale of our labor, but the spirit in which we carry it out. The world does not need more power, prestige, or performance. It needs more humility, compassion, and truth in the everyday. And that starts with how we work. To be human is to be called into action, not just for ourselves, but for others. Work is how we love the world in tangible form. It is how we bring order from chaos, hope from struggle, and beauty from effort. It is not the enemy of our soul, it is its expression. When understood rightly, work becomes sacred again. And in that sacredness, we are no longer lost. We are found. Human worth is not based on productivity. This is a message many people need to hear, especially in a world that constantly urges us to do more, achieve more, and prove our value through performance. From a young age, we are told to be successful, to be efficient, to strive for excellence in school, in work, in life. Society measures people by what they accomplish, how busy they are, how much money they make, and how much they produce. It is a mindset that leaves little room for rest, reflection, or grace. And slowly, this mindset begins to shape how people see themselves. When they cannot keep up with expectations, when they are unemployed, sick, aging, or simply tired, they begin to feel as though they are worth less. They feel like burdens, like failures, or like invisible faces in a fast-moving world. But the truth is this: every human being has infinite value, not because of what they do, but because of who they are. From the moment of conception to the final breath, every life is sacred. Every person is made in the image of God, and nothing can add to or take away from that dignity. It is not earned, and it cannot be lost. It is given freely like grace. No title, no job, no accomplishment can increase your worth, and no mistake, no weakness, no loss of status can diminish. This truth is essential for a healthy soul. When people believe their value is tied to performance, they live in fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of being replaced. Their peace depends on external success, and when that is shaken, as it always is sooner or later, they are left adrift. But when a person knows they are loved not for what they do, but simply for who they are, they can live in freedom. They can find rest. They can love others more fully because they are no longer trapped in the race to prove themselves. This message is especially powerful for those who feel invisible: the elderly, the unemployed, the disabled, the poor, the forgotten. The world may pass them by, but God does not. To Him, each life is a miracle. He does not ask for perfection. He asks for presence. A heart open to love, a soul willing to receive and give kindness, no matter how small the gesture. Even those who are successful by worldly standards need to hear this truth. Many live under the illusion that their value comes from achievement, but this only leads to anxiety. Their sense of self is always fragile, always dependent on the next goal, the next promotion, the next praise. But success cannot satisfy the deep hunger of their hearts. Only love can do that. Unconditional, unshakable love that says, you matter. Not because of what you do, but because you are. When we begin to see each other in this light, the world changes. We no longer judge people by their resumes, by their efficiency, or by their status. We begin to listen more, to care more, to understand that every person carries unseen struggles, gifts, and a story that matters. The mother at home with her children, the man who lost his job, the person who can no longer walk, the elderly woman in a nursing home, they all carry a beauty and worth that no metric can measure. To live by this truth is not easy in a culture that idolizes productivity, but it is a radical act of faith. It is a return to the way we were meant, to see ourselves and each other, not as tools or roles or tasks, but as sacred beings capable of love, worthy of dignity, and beloved beyond all measure. Even the smallest act done in love holds eternal value. This truth is often overlooked in a world that praises grand gestures and visible achievements. We are taught to admire the spectacular, to celebrate what is impressive, and to measure worth by scale. A major award, a viral success, a groundbreaking invention. These are the things that get noticed. But in the quiet corners of everyday life, unnoticed by the headlines, there is a different kind of greatness, one that heaven sees even when the world does not. Love gives meaning to all things, no matter how small. A smile given to someone who is having a hard day, a kind word offered without expecting anything in return, a meal cooked for a family, a letter written to someone lonely. These are not acts of weakness or waste. They are powerful echoes of God's own tenderness. They say, I see you, you matter. And though they may pass without recognition, they do not pass without impact. Love has a way of planting seeds in the soul that grow long after the moment is over. This is why we must never underestimate the value of ordinary goodness. We live in a time where everything is measured and compared. People are asked, what have you done? What have you built? What have you accomplished? But there is a deeper question that matters more. Did you love? Did you serve with humility? Did you show mercy? It is in answering these questions that we find our true purpose. A small act done with great love carries the fragrance of holiness. Think of the elderly caregiver who tenderly feeds someone who can no longer eat alone. Think of the worker who goes out of their way to help a stranger even when no one is watching. Think of the friend who listens, truly listens, when someone pours out their heart. These actions may not bring fame or fortune, but they mirror the heart of God. They restore dignity. They heal wounds. They bring light into dark places. This way of seeing the world requires a shift in vision. We must learn to look not just at what is being done, but at how and why it is done. A grand act done out of pride may pass quickly. A humble deed done out of love may echo for eternity. What matters is the spirit behind the action, the intention of the heart. And love, true love, does not seek reward. It simply gives, freely and generously. One of the most beautiful truths is that everyone, no matter how simple their life may seem, has the ability to love. You do not need to be rich, powerful, or educated to change the world in small, lasting ways. A child can teach compassion with a gentle hug. A poor person can be rich in generosity. A sick person can inspire courage with their quiet endurance. In God's eyes, nothing is wasted when it is offered in love. This is why no one is too small to matter. No act is too simple to count. Love sanctifies the ordinary. It transforms what is common into something sacred. And it reminds us that greatness is not found in applause, but in service. The hands that clean, comfort, cook, or cradle a child are doing holy work, whether the world sees it or not. Let us never grow weary of doing small things with great love. These are the threads that hold the world together, often unseen but deeply necessary. In the end, When all our titles and trophies have faded, what will remain are the moments we gave of ourselves for the good of another. That is the true measure of a life well lived. True fulfillment in work comes not from chasing worldly success, but from being faithful to what is good, right, and meaningful. The modern world teaches a different lesson. It tells us that success is measured by wealth, by promotion, by recognition. We are encouraged to climb higher, to compete harder, to always look for the next big opportunity. There is constant pressure to prove ourselves through visible achievements. But in the end, this path often leaves people tired, anxious, and empty. No matter how much they gain, it never feels like enough. The hunger for more remains, because what they are really seeking cannot be filled by trophies or titles. The human soul was not made for endless competition. It was made for connection, for purpose, for love. When we work simply to succeed in the eyes of others, we end up losing ourselves. But when we work out of faithfulness to our values, to our responsibilities, and to the people entrusted to us, we find peace. We discover joy, not because our tasks are easy or glamorous, but because they are rooted in truth. Faithfulness means showing up every day with integrity. It means giving our best effort, even when there is no applause. It means being honest, kind, and generous, especially when no one is watching. It is not about results, it is about character. A faithful worker does not need the spotlight, because the reward is found in the quiet satisfaction of doing what is right. And often, this kind of work brings a deeper joy, one that is not loud or showy, but steady and real. There is a beauty in consistency, in being someone others can rely on. The teacher who shows up every morning with love for her students. The mechanic who takes pride in doing the job well. The caregiver who tends to the sick with gentleness. These people may never make headlines, but they are the pillars of society. Their faithfulness shapes lives, even if it goes unnoticed. This way of living also brings freedom. When we stop chasing the approval of the world, we are free to focus on what truly matters. We are no longer bound by fear of failure or consumed by the desire to impress. We begin to live with clarity. We can ask ourselves, what kind of person do I want to be? What legacy do I want to leave? These are questions that help us live intentionally, not just ambitiously. Faithfulness is also deeply relational. It reminds us that our work affects others, whether we realize it or not. Our attitude, our honesty, our effort, they all have an impact on those around us. When we are faithful in our work, we become sources of strength and hope for others. We contribute to a culture of trust, of respect, of kindness, and in a world that often feels cold or rushed, that is a gift of immense value. To be faithful is to plant seeds we may never see grow. It is to believe that goodness matters, even when it's slow, even when it's quiet. It is to trust that God sees what others miss and that He treasures every moment we offer with love. So rather than asking, am I successful, it is far more powerful to ask, am I being faithful? Am I bringing light into my little corner of the world? Am I treating people with dignity, giving my best in whatever task I've been given, and remaining true to my conscience? If the answer is yes, then that is enough. Because in the eyes of God, it is not the size of the work that matters, but the size of the work that matters. It is not the size of the work that matters, but the size of the work that matters. I make sure that it is not the size of the work that matters, but the size of the heart that matters. Am I doing what I can? If you harmonize with people, everything else is easy.